Welcome to the Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. We are here every Saturday to highlight local entrepreneurs and small business owners and to learn how they succeed to build their businesses from the ground up. What were their challenges and what are their victories? Jeanette, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm excited about today's guest.
I thought you would be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I say, I love entrepreneurs. I love business owners, but it's tough out there. I mean, California is a tough environment for businesses. And I know that this guest especially, we've talked about some things before in the past. And so I'm excited to hear what might be going on in California that might change some things for small business owners.
Yeah. So this show, I want to coin a phrase is for the everyday entrepreneur. You know, because it's not for like the high level CEOs. This is for like the small business owner, the medium sized business owner,
especially here in California,
especially
in
here in
Central
California,
Valley.
Yeah, because we're climbing. I mean, it's like the never ending hill. You know, like it's just like it seems like we're climbing this hill, and it's just like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You know, because we have so much things to go through.
It's getting tough out there. You know, the regulations and the taxes and the cost. And like I hear they just passed something with like they're going to start taxing us for travel miles per mile.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I mean, that's the whole thing. And it's kind of like, you know, coming from Sweden, it was this whole thing about if you not had a larger engine. I remember when my former husband, he had a truck and he was going over Altamont Pass. He got a letter asking him why he wasn't carpooling or using BART. He's a painter. Yeah. I mean, what, going to carry buckets of paint and ladders? But there's this whole movement of, you know, what they think as business owners we should be doing.
I don't want to get into politics, but I will briefly for a second. So there's and I'm not going to mention anything. I mean, people are going to figure this out anyway, but people accuse Donald Trump of being a dictator. You know, they're saying, you know, he's going to be a dictator when he becomes president. Well, my question to you is, isn't that what we're kind of going through in California right now? Is being dictated to?
Taxation without representation and money grab of everything. Yeah. And that was the whole thing. They said the EVs have been working so well that they're not getting the gasoline tax. So now to make it fair to everybody, we're just going to tax every mile you drive. And, you know, once they put something in, that tax is just going to go up and up. And what do people do that have to drive for a living? You know, it's kind of like, let them eat cake. Let them take BART. Yeah. No, not contractors can't get on BART with ladders. Landscapers. So the one that they're going to hurt are those. Sometimes I think government thinks everyone works in a cubicle. Well, let them work from home. Oh yeah, I'll paint your house from home.
Yeah. Well, then for me, it's truck driving. You know, and I work. I mean, I work for somebody. I don't own my own business, truck driving, but I work for somebody. And one of our fears is
the EV.
Well, just you know, like how do we know that trucking companies aren't going to pack up and move out of California?
They will.
Yeah.
They will.
Because it's just getting ridiculous
And
here.
that's the whole thing with gasoline prices and everything else. What, the cow's going to walk to the store and you can go milk it yourself? No.
And now, you know, if California forces trucking companies to leave the state, you know, that's just going to drive up costs because we still need to have supplies come in.
Well, it already happened in the trucking industry when they were not issuing registrations on older trucks. Mm-hmm. Those truck drivers, they couldn't afford a brand new truck. Brand new trucks cost what, like a house?
$100,000.
Oh my gosh!
To start,
yeah,
probably,
so they to stay in business, they had to leave the state.
Yeah.
So we're gonna lose all those that aren't working in cubicles. Yeah. Because they're not going to be able to afford to have a business in California. But that's the whole thing. I'm excited about this guy. Because you said he's an advocate, right?
He's an advocate, yeah. So we have Victor Gomez coming on. He's in the green room, and he's going to talk about frivolous lawsuits. And
I know that's dear to your heart, especially
we were talking about that.
A&W in Modesto.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to have him on again because I want to have him on with the mayor of Turlock.
I like her.
Yeah.
Amy? That's a great show.
Yeah, and I want to also get.
Not all politicians are bad.
Well, no, it's.
But it's a hard hill to climb, so to say. It's kind of like if you've ever had to deal with like the IRS or any other governmental agency. There's just so much, you know. It's difficult, and sometimes I think a lot of people are feeling like we're just helpless. We can't even fire anyone anymore. We can't do anything, and everything's going to cost us money.
Yeah. So you're listening to the Small Business Voice with Just Doug and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app.
How did we find this guest?
Well, so actually, they reached out to me last year. He's a returning guest, actually.
Oh.
He came on and we talked just about frivolous lawsuits, just different things. We're going to probably rehash a lot of that today because A&W just closed about, 3 months ago or so.
Oh, yeah. I remember you were so upset over that.
I was. Well, it was a small business. It's been around since the 50s. I don't think it was part of the...
People always think that franchises, it's like they're like small business owners. Maybe the main mother company has a lot of money, but the small business owner, they don't.
Things are bad in California when McDonald's is complaining about the cost. Mm-hmm. And that's bad. And the franchisees are not happy. The minimum wage just got raised to $20 an hour.
Even my business. Okay, I'm an Allstate agent. So but the money that I end up getting from Allstate, which is a very small percentage, I have to pay my own employees, my own desks, my own computers, my own electricity, my own payroll. I mean, basically, I am self-employed, but I'm able to represent a product.
Yeah.
But Allstate might have billions. That does not mean that in 1 month that I might be able to take home enough money to even, pay my mortgage.
Well, yeah, and we talked about that before. I saw the new Allstate commercial, by the way, with the mayhem guy as a bug.
The bug. Have you seen the one with the boat?
I have not seen that one yet.
That's something people go like, well, why do I have to have this insured? And I go, well, if you're towing the boat, for one thing, if it sinks in the lake, now you got all these environmental things, who's going to have $10,000 to get it out of the lake, and with a boat, you can hit a person in the water. Yeah. You better have insurance on that boat, same kind of insurance that you have on your car.
So that commercial, that Allstate commercial with the mayhem guy represents all the Allstate agencies. Mm-hmm. It doesn't single one out.
No.
And that's one of the problems I have, or one of the issues, not a problem, but issues I have.
Do you have issues?
I do have issues, yes. I have a lot of issues. But I don't think, you're one of the top performers. Your agency is one of the top. You've won awards, but you're never going to be in a national commercial. And I think that's not right.
Oh, okay.
My opinion.
But the thing is also, when they do a commercial, if you look at a lot of commercials, it will say at the bottom that not available in California. It's like, So when, Allstate we have accident forgiveness, not available in California. It's like, because they film a commercial, it has to go nationwide. Didn't Nationwide leave California? No, but it has to go across. They can't do the local one. We're going to do a commercial for California. They're having a hard enough time in California with legislation, and we've talked about that. Let's not beat that one to death. Let's talk to Victor, who's going to tell us what maybe he is doing and what's going on in California right now. And so I really like that we bring on some guests to inform and educate from a different perspective and let us know what's going on out there, because we can complain all we can, but then it's always good to find out that there are people out there maybe trying to change things. I think that's important.
Exactly. And this is the last thing I'll say about politics is if you're – so, Jeanette, you cannot vote.
No, well, I get a ballot every year, but I'm a Swedish citizen, and I shouldn't vote.
Yeah.
And people go like, oh, well, you own a house, you own a business, you should be able to vote. What? Can a country just import people, have them buy a house, and now they can change completely the structure of a government? No, but I get ballots at my house. I don't even know how to register to vote. I've never registered to vote, but they send me a ballot. It seems like they sent everyone a ballot that did the last census. Because since the last census, I've gotten a ballot in the mail. Okay.
I'm just going to encourage everybody out there, if you can register to vote, if you're 18 and older and it's legal for you to vote and you want your voice heard, I encourage people to go out there and vote. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat.
What is it going to take, though? What is it going to take? I remember seeing that commercial where that guy in a car hit a woman with a baby, and they tried to recall him, the DA in L.A., and they couldn't recall him. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Go out there and vote. Because I can't. Vote for me.
We'll talk about that in the community corner, basically. So anyway, you're listening to the Small Business Voice with Just Doug and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV. And we have Victor Gomez coming up. And I'm here with my wonderful co-host Jeanette Forney. She is the owner of Allstate Insurance Agency in the Central Valley. And you can call Jeanette for a quote at 209-667-2222 or email her at JeanetteForney@allstate.com.
Good morning.
Today's guest is Victor Gomez. He works for Pinnacle Strategy, and he helps small businesses battle against frivolous lawsuits. Did I kind of say that right, Victor?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Justin. What we do is we advocate for legislative changes and really to protect small and medium-sized businesses from these frivolous lawsuits that we'll jump in here and talk about here soon.
We had a business that was really popular closed down here in Modesto, which I know you guys are aware of. That was the A&W Root Beer on GN 12. And it was
we've talked about that before here.
It was shocking and sad, I guess, at the same time to see them close down over a frivolous lawsuit, and it was about something about handicap parking. There wasn't enough handicap parking spaces. The problem is they just filed a lawsuit, and they don't even give the business a chance to correct it. They just want the money, and basically they take the money and run. Correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And yeah, it's we did hear about your local, A&W and what they went through. And I think the sad part about this all is this story specifically regarding A&W is kind of all over the place. So I could literally take that story and that small business tragedy and place it anywhere in California. And I hear that, unfortunately, that exact same story everywhere I go. I ran into a very similar situation when I worked as chief of staff to the vice mayor of San Jose. We had a beloved Vietnamese-owned coffee shop right next door to us, and same situation. Unfortunately, they had to close because they were hit with a number of these ADA accessibility lawsuits. And like you said, they didn't care about fixing the issue. They just cared about taking your money.
Yeah.
They really had no intent and really any care about that. And that's very unfortunate to see that. Very unfortunate, certainly, to see what happened to A&W. And again, a lot of small businesses up and down the state of California.
It almost seems like it's a blackmail type of thing, and I have heard situations where they first ask for money. And as a small business owner myself, time is money. And then you're thinking, attorneys cost a lot of money. And if they're asking, let's say they're only asking for $10,000, you're going like, okay, well, I have a retainer with an attorney is $5,000, trying to get a court date, everything else, defense. If it goes to court with a jury, then it's like $40,000 and it's going to take a year and a half. What's going on in the meantime, bad publicity, everything else. That with a blackmail situation, how many people just pay out to these people?
California is really, unfortunately, because of these trial attorneys and really the trial bar, they have their own PAC in Sacramento, and what they do is they fund politicians, assembly members, senators, even the governor, attorney general, and essentially they give them plenty of money for their campaigns, and they say, hey, look the other way when you hear about these lawsuits. And to date, that has worked. And unfortunately, a third of these ADA lawsuits, which come in many, many different forms, a third of the ADA lawsuits nationwide are in California.
Yeah. So, you're in California. You can sue for anything, and it's still going to cost you litigation fees and everything else. So when you say you advocate for small businesses, do you work with small businesses, or you have a political background, correct? So you worked in government?
Look, my role is executive director of a organization called California Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse. So if you go to CaliforniaCALA.org, CaliforniaCALA.org, that's California CALA, you'll learn more about us, but really it was just a perfect match for me to advocate for small business because, number one, I served as mayor of the city of Hollister. I did 2 terms from 2008 until 16. And then additionally, I was a franchisee for a long time, owned multiple pizza franchises.
You've been on both sides of the issue.
I've been on both sides of the issue, and it's something I'm really passionate about because, a lot of people think especially if you're a franchise or even a popular independently owned restaurant, people assume that you're this millionaire, that you're making, hand over fist in dollars. And look, my wife and I were owner operators. We were there making pizzas because that's what it takes to survive in California, to succeed. So when you're hit with these, lawsuits, especially, let's just say you have a restroom for your clients, which you should have, right, for your customers, and you have a coffee shop or a small restaurant. If the urinal in that restroom is an inch too high or an inch too low, that's a $4,000 lawsuit. And they don't care if you fix it. You're not actually required to fix it. The only thing you're required to do is give these attorneys $4,000 for every violation that you get. They could care less if it's ever fixed again. But anyway, bringing my experience as a small business owner and as a politician as well really led me to advocate for legislative and really local law changes that could help small businesses. We had a bill last year that's actually still active now that we're trying to move through the legislature, and we're hoping that bills like this could eventually help. What we do with small business is we share their stories with local mayors, council members, supervisors, but more importantly, the attorney general and our state senators and assembly members, so they know how important it is for these changes that we're advocating for. They get an understanding of it. The unfortunate part, again, is they say one thing, and then in the back end, they're taking a $5,000 check from the trial attorneys, and the trial attorneys look at these politicians and they say, wink, wink, ignore all these stories.
Wow. So you're listening to Small Business Voice with Just Nugget and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV. We're here with Victor Gomez. If you want more information, or maybe you can advocate to stop this also, if you're listening out there, he can be reached at 831-245-6446. The website is pinnaclestrategy.org, and you can email Victor at victorg@pinnaclestrategy.org.
Yeah, I want to hear so much more about how the story is and about this bill specifically. But also, is this a place, like if you're a small business owner, you used to be one, I am one, if you have run into this and either had to pay out or how it's affected your business, is that something that you would want to get a phone call on so you can document? Because a lot of people, I think, are just silent. These things happen to them. We're in California. Oh, my God, another lawsuit. I called my attorney. It cost us money. Is that something that if you're a business out there that have been approached or I think blackmailed? I mean, I'm all for disabilities, but that's the whole thing. These people are not advocating for the disabled.
Absolutely
They're
not.
advocating for their pockets and punishing small businesses and putting businesses out of business. I mean, that's the whole thing. We're the small business view here. And so in a way, we're advocating for small businesses. And so I'd like to know specifically this bill that you talked about the bill. What's in the bill?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, number one, yes, we want to hear from folks that have experienced these lawsuits. It's very, very important for us to capture their stories, document their stories, and again, share those with the folks making these policies, right, and advocating for these changes. Specific to the legislation, Senator Niello, what he ended up doing is last year he introduced a bill that would essentially allow a curing period specifically for these ADA lawsuits. So, for example, if, I pull up to a restaurant and I'm in a wheelchair, and again, we are 100% supportive of accessibility laws. Yes. We 100% support ADA law. We think that is critical. And business owners support it too. We want to be able to be patronized by every consumer out there, including those with disability challenges. So number one, we do support that. But let's just say I roll up to a restaurant and the incline is too steep. Unfortunately, right now you could get hit with the lawsuit. What the bill actually does is it actually says you have 90 days to fix the issue before a lawsuit could be filed.
I like that.
And so essentially it adds a curing period, almost like a warning, right? Like you get a letter from the state that says, hey, you're out of compliance. You have 90 days to fix it. The restaurant then fixes it. Because if you just pay the lawsuit, if, like nothing right now, done. You pay a lawsuit, nothing gets done. And those folks that really are impacted by disability access do not benefit from this. Only the trial attorneys benefit from this.
Well, I mean, in so many other things. I'm in insurance, right? So before they're going to renew a policy for homeowners, they'll send out saying, we're not going to renew you unless you get this thing fixed. You have this, old tree on your property. You need the roof fixed. So everyone gets that opportunity.
So you're listening to Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV, and we have Victor Gomez on. And if you're out there and you want to help, give him a call at 831-245-6446. The website is pinnaclestrategy.org, and his email is victorg, as in Gomez, at pinnaclestrategy.org. So stay with us on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app.
CISPRO Innovations, connecting local businesses with local families. Display your services and products with our pay-as-you-go optimized website design program and boost your brand's online presence with our affordable social media marketing tools. To learn more, visit our website at CISPROinnovation.com. That's CISPRO, CISBRO, innovation.com.
Welcome back to the Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV. Reach out for more information about our featured guests by texting 209-896-6500, or you can always email us at info@smallbusinessvoicemedia.com. So, Jeanette, Victor Gomez is our guest. He is with Pinnacle Strategy, and he can be reached at 831-245-6446. And he can be emailed at victorg@pinnaclestrategy.org, and the website is pinnaclestrategy.org.
What is the process? Also, what is the process of introducing a bill, being an advocate for the bill? How long does it take? Because one thing is to work on these things, and then all of a sudden, it's going to be 2 more years, 3 more years. How long does it take to get a bill through?
It all depends on the appetite of the legislature, right? If it is a bill that they want to see passed, normally bills are introduced in the beginning of the year, and then they navigate through committees, and then they go from one house, let's just say the Assembly to the Senate, or Senate to the Assembly. They have to go through both houses, and then eventually in September, it may make it to the governor's desk. Every year, the legislature sees about 3,000 bills, and maybe about a third, likely less than a third, make it to the governor's desk. 2/3 of them end up dying, meaning they didn't have enough support or got shot down in a vote. SB 585, the Niello bill, what we call the ADA curing bill, was actually introduced in January of 2023. It made it through the Senate. It actually went through all the Senate committees. It made it to the Senate floor. The senators, all 40 senators that were there, participated, and they voted to move it to the Assembly. And that was kind of unheard of, right? Especially because of the strong hold that the Trial Bar Political Action Committee has on these folks. But we were thrilled. And eventually it made it to the Assembly, the first Assembly committee, which is the Judiciary Committee. And the chair of the committee refused to hear the bill. He also happens to be one accepting a ton of donations from the trial attorneys. And so, it unfortunately, one of the consultants that actually works on the committee as well is very, supportive of the trial attorneys. And unfortunately, the bill was tabled and made a 2-year bill. That happens with some bills. That means next year it could be reconsidered. Well, we have until really July 3rd of this year to have that bill essentially make it out of committee. So we've been working really hard to pressure that committee to take it up. And then eventually, hopefully, it's something that could make it to the governor's desk this September. If it doesn't, unfortunately, it has to be reintroduced next year as a new bill. But again, as I mentioned earlier, the bill would allow what we think is very fair, a 90-day period to fix the issue. And these are minor, what we consider to be very minor issues. I'm going to share with you an example that you may think is absolutely crazy. But during COVID, a lot of stores were closed and people were hunkered down. We actually had one specific attorney, a ADA advocate, but really somebody that just sues everybody, Mr. Johnson, he has filed so many lawsuits up and down the state. What he was actually doing is he was actually going to Google Maps, and he was snapping pictures of these parking lots. And if your parking space was faded and it turned into the wrong color blue, or if you may have used the wrong color blue in the first place, he was filing lawsuits from his home office and sending pictures of Google images to the restaurant owners and saying, I need $4, $8, $12, $16, $20,000 from you because I could not see that was the parking space for me as an ADA parking stall user. That restaurant wasn't even open. It was not even open for business. It was shut down because of COVID. No. Yet he still filed these lawsuits.
Greed never stops.
We really know. Yeah, these are frivolous, totally frivolous lawsuits.
So you're listening to the Small Business Voice with Justin Duggan and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV. We have Victor Gomez on with Pinnacle Strategy. He can be reached at 831-245-6446. You can also email him at victorg@pinnaclestrategy.org. The website is pinnaclestrategy.org. So I'm just going to warn you, Victor, be careful because I've seen Jeanette's hair go from light red to dark red. So she's getting fired up.
Well, I'm kind of like this. I'm always feeling there's got to be something that can be done. And if you, like you said, congratulations, you got it all the way past, and everything else. And then one person, just takes one person to shoot it down. But I mean, I have hope that the people, it gets to a point where you get so fed up that there's got to be something except for that maybe you're in this advocate group and you guys keep doing the same thing. Let's get out to the people, and what can we do? Can it be put on the ballot for people to vote on? And then what are they going to do? Even though I know what they're going to do, because I just saw something that's going to hit the ballot. And so they're putting their own bills together, executive bills from the governor's office that says, if you vote for this bill, then we're going to repeal these other things that we were going to do for you guys. I mean, it's almost like a threat.
Yeah.
It's like horrible. But I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. Tell me, what can we do?
No, it absolutely is. Look, another issue that we focus on as this organization, California Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse, we don't just focus on ADA lawsuit abuse. Another critical issue that has impacted small and medium-sized businesses is what's called PAGA. And I know we probably don't have a lot of time to get into this, but PAGA is the Private Attorney General Act that was passed by by Governor Davis over 20 years ago. And essentially what that bill does, it's called the Sue Your Boss law. And so for some reason, if you feel like your break was cut a minute short, or let's just say you had to put your apron on and you didn't get paid while you were putting your apron on to get to work, you could literally sue your boss for increments in your time card as wage theft. And this has been happening up and down the state. And these are class action lawsuits. It's 2 or 3 employees that really come together and they sue you. And so what we're trying to do there is reform that law and bring it back to state management, because right now the law allows you to hire a private attorney, hence the Private Attorney General Act, and it allows you to hire an attorney to sue your boss for lost wages. Well, the trial attorneys make all the money, pretty much all the money. The consumer is left with, or the complainant is left with like 5%, and then the state makes a ton of money off of it too. So really, the person suing really gets pennies. The trial attorneys and the state make a ton of money. The unions love it. The statewide unions love it because it's more money for their pockets for public employees. But what we've done is worked with organizations to try to put something on the ballot. Specifically, Cal Chamber and the Business Roundtable are leading an effort in November called the Employer Accountability Act, which is going to reform PAGA. And those PAGA claims could be $5, $10, $20 million. And they'll go after a small business. They'll put you out of business. They don't care. They just want their payout.
You know what? I just have to tell you, they're actually soliciting, because I was on Instagram and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these things actually saying, have you not been treated right at work? Were you fired when you felt like you did nothing wrong? You can sue. Contact us today. I mean, it's like, really? And I mean, there are people out there that are just angry, and it's just taking, again, it's just accusations, and they're soliciting people. through feelings, not law, and it just costs a lot of money, and then they're not going to get anything. And like you said, the state loves to punish, and the way the state punishes and government punishes is through money. Like you said, nothing ever gets fixed. It's just we're going to punish somebody, and now we get some money, which we know they can't handle.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And look, I come from the pizza industry. I thought I spent a lot of money on advertising because you do. It's a very competitive business, and you have a lot of competition out there. Little did I know that nobody spends more money on advertising in the state of California than trial attorneys. Trial attorneys spend more money than politicians on political ads. I mean, literally, they spend millions and millions of dollars specifically in California because, again, they know that they have the politicians where they want them, and they're going to get everything that they want.
So, Victor, since we're running out of time, I want to ask you, what can I do as a small business owner? What can people in California do? Is there a PAC that they can support? How do they support the work that you're doing on their behalf?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, number one, I would encourage you to visit CaliforniaCala.org, CaliforniaCala.org. That's our website that we use specifically for lawsuit abuse reform. Number one, I ask that you reach out to me. Justin shared, with you my contact information. Reach out to me. I want to hear your story. I want to be able to carry that story and share that. But I also encourage those like A&W and those that have been impacted in your community to let your mayor and your council members know too, because they generally tend to have the ear of the state politicians more than you can. Okay. And sharing that story is critical to help in us pushing bills like SB 585 forward. So reach out to us. We want to advocate for you. We want to help. Contact us and we'll let you know. We'll more than happy to put you to work and help us advocate to protect small businesses and more importantly, stop them from fleeing the state because they continue to flee.
Okay,
California.
Protect California or we're going to lose all the small businesses in California. We're already seeing it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. Thank you for being with us today. And I could see in the future having you on with maybe the Modesto mayor and the Turlock mayor on a round table.
Let's get them all on here.
Maybe kind of, do our part, bring everybody together. So we've had the Turlock mayor on before, and we're going to have the Modesto mayor on soon.
All right, great.
Yeah. You're listening to the Small Business Voice on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app.
Daydreaming about you all day long. Radio's been playing all our songs. Just read your message on my phone. It's turning me on.
This business tip is brought to you by Cispro Innovation. Hi, this is Catherine Ramos, and today we're talking about digital storefronts. In a modern era, a business website isn't just a supplementary element. It is your digital storefront. When your website is optimized, it loads quickly, looks professional, and it is mobile friendly. If visitors experience slow load times or can't easily find what they're looking for, they'll more than likely leave and turn to your competitor. Cispro Innovation, where we help local businesses connect with local families. For more information on this tip, check out our blog at CisproInnovation.com. That's Cispro, SISBRO, innovation.com.
Welcome back to the Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV. Reach out to us for more information about our featured guests by texting 209-896-6500, or you can always email us at info@smallbusinessvoicemedia.com. Pull up any of our past shows on the iHeartRadio app and just search and follow the Small Business Voice. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube, and connect with me on LinkedIn. My wonderful guest host is a fellow small business owner, Jeanette Forney. She owns Allstate Insurance Agency in Central Valley. Call Jeanette at 209-667-2222 or email her at JeanetteForney@allstate.com. So if you need a quote or if you want your policy reviewed, Jeanette's a good person to call. So the Community Corner is proudly sponsored by Lightspeed Graphics, a creative media agency specializing in video and animation. To get in touch with the owner, Kirk Gonzalez, simply text them at 209-617-2606 or visit their website at lightspeedgraphics.com. So on a positive note, Jeanette, Lightspeed Graphics and the Small Business Voice teamed up and did the first commercial for M&M Movers.
I saw it. It is so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys, where can people see it?
They can just go to Lightspeed Graphics, their YouTube channel. They have it on there. You can go to my Facebook page, Small Business Voice Media. So Facebook, Instagram.
It was so funny. And you
TikTok,
know what? Watch it all the way to the end, because the end is the funniest. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm going like, oh my God, did he just say that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, so
Don't tell them. They have to watch the commercial.
All right.
Yeah. So it's not even legal to air.
Well, it kind of is, but yeah, we'll let people, if they have questions, they can just
tell you what. I loved having this guest on. I love when we have guests that educate us. We're always learning something new, and they say when you stop, learning something new, you start dying.
Yeah.
And we're all so much on like taxation without representation. What was it? Wasn't there a war started here in the United States over tea tax?
Yeah.
Well, now look at where we are, and lawsuits, and people say, oh, well, you live in California. There's going to be a lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
And it was very refreshing that, and, I don't want to be cynical, but how much can they do, when he's talking about in January and everything else, and they keep fighting.
If you have a small business and you have a concern, I would definitely give Victor a call. His phone number is 831-245-6446, and you can email him at victorg@pinnaclestrategy.org.
It's kind of like the squeaky wheel, gets greased.
Yeah.
And so, maybe the more stories that they get that they can bring before our representatives in Sacramento and say, here, we have all of these small business owners that were, had to shut down or were approached or were basically, as I consider it, blackmailed.
Yeah.
And, so maybe all the stories, because like we always say, if we don't do something here in California, we won't have small businesses in California. It's such a hostile environment.
Yeah.
We won't be able to have employees because they're going to turn around and sue us.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have him back, and we'll have the mayor on. And
that was a great idea.
Yeah.
That was a great idea. I mean, I really liked the mayor of Turlock, Amy. Great interview.
Too, yeah.
If anyone didn't hear it, look up on the website and listen to it, because it's so nice. Everyone complains about, let's say, politicians and things like this, but it's nice to hear when people are involved, and to hear, like, I don't worry about going into a store in Turlock.
Yeah.
And it was so refreshing when Mayor Amy was talking about that theft is theft, as far as I'm concerned, she said.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they just had a big sting here in California, too, where basically they said you might be able to do that in the Bay Area, but you can't do that here.
Well, I'm hoping things will turn around. I think people are
fed up.
Well, people are also waking up to government corruption. They're waking up to how much control are people going to be able to have, where I just listen and follow blindly like a sheep.
Yeah.
Like everybody's saying, next pandemic, I'll take my chances. You're not not locking me back up.
No, exactly. Anyway, you're listening to the Small Business Voice with Justin and Jeanette Forney on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. I ran into Trish Christensen of the Modesto Chamber, and she's going to have some events to give to us to report on here.
But that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
We all mumble because we're so busy working and there's nothing we can do. And there are people out there working, but one of the best things we can do is get involved with the community. Yeah. If you are a small business, you need to join the local chamber.
I agree.
And because there'll be other business owners there. And you can't just lock yourself in the back room of your office and sit there complaining that there's too much crime, there's too much taxes, too much regulation.
Yeah, you got to participate.
Yeah, you have to participate.
It's the same thing with voting. Like I vote, but I always hear people complain, and people say, "Well, do you vote?" And they go, "Well, no." And it's like, well, then you really have no right to complain because you're not voting. And I would, like I said, we might not see eye to eye, but I would still encourage people to vote, because it's a way of having their voice heard.
And when they feel like they don't have their voice heard, those people that need to have their voice heard, they just stop voting. They're going, well, my vote doesn't count anyway.
Yeah.
And it's sad out there. We just like this organization with Victor, they could have maybe gotten this solved, but one person had enough power that they blocked it. And we don't know why they blocked it or anything else. But then did he say, oh, well, we tried? No, he says, so we're going for it again. Yeah. And I think that's the whole thing. As business owners and as entrepreneurs, do we want to take a government job and ask for a raise each year? Or do we want to try to forge our own future for ourselves, for our children, build a legacy, and be in charge of our own lives?
This is the land of opportunity. I mean, that's what it's about for us.
Maybe it's because we're here in the Central Valley. Because I do have friends that say they're in the Bay Area, and they're going like, well, why do you drive that big truck? Because I go out on ag properties where there's mud. There's no BART. I can't take public transportation to go see clients or walk construction sites. It's out here. In some places, it might work to take a bicycle to work.
Yeah.
My office is 47 and a half miles away from my house.
Yeah. So my kids, my son lives in San Francisco, and he could just take public transportation. It's easy for him. I think the people that are making these laws don't really get out of their bubble and see how the rest of California works. Oh
yeah, they figure everybody sits in front of a computer. It doesn't matter where you work.
Yeah,
and they are all in some kind of like a little cubby hole, and that's why it's so hard for these people. Once with COVID, they go, "Why do I have to come back to my cubicle? It's too dangerous to take part into San Francisco. Why can't I just? For 2 years, I've been working at home, and you paid me. Why are you going to make me go back in?" So, I mean, they kind of like started this whole trend with people in the offices.
Yeah, they did. So you and I both go to Gold Star.
Yes.
We do not talk politics at Gold Star. We talk about business.
No, in fact, we don't even know political, leanings, because that's something we talk about our businesses. We are joined together for one purpose, and that is to network together. I mean, if I have someone at my house that's a handyman helping me out, I don't ask him first if he's going to vote. Yeah. And if I need, the services from anyone. We do business with each other, and that's the whole thing. It's people that we know that they're good at what they're doing, and as business owners, it's nice to get together with other business. When we do talk about things, we're usually talking about like how hard it is to hire, staffing, how, things are going in our industries, but we rarely touch on the blame game.
No.
That doesn't do any good, blaming of what has happened or why we're there. It's basically, so what are you going to do now? Are you going to advertise more? Are you going to hire more people? Or this is where we talk. And like we've talked about, hiring and personalities, etc. So, I mean, it's very uplifting to be a Gold Star member.
It is. It's very uplifting, and we help each other out, like Jeanette says, and it's a great place to be. In fact, I got 2 guests coming in, and I had one come last week. So,
fabulous!
I'm on a roll. So.
All right. Well, today's guest was really good. Thank you for bringing him in.
Oh, hey, my pleasure. And I want to thank Victor Gomez for coming in again also.
Yeah, thank you, Victor.
Yeah, so thank you for tuning in each week. We look forward to having you back next week. A heartfelt shout out to our dedicated producer, Mike Murray, and the general manager at KCBP, Jim Costello, for their invaluable contributions to our show. We also appreciate the hard work of Kurt Gonzalez from Lightspeed Graphics, Video, and Animation for capturing our inspiring guests and their stories. If you're seeking assistance with digital marketing, don't hesitate to reach out to Kurt at 209-617-2606 or via email at kurt@lightspeedgraphics.com. Jeanette, thank you for joining me today and your support of the Small Business Voice in so many ways.
Yeah, let's get everybody's support out there.
Yes. Remember to join us every Saturday at 11 a.m. as we dive into the minds of local small business owners with even more insightful discussions. And a special thanks to our guest, Victor Gomez, for sharing his expertise with us. Now, let's take care of business.